3 statistical secrets that you need to know heading into Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. Welcome to the Pit Wall, your stop for fantasy Formula One content. You can like and subscribe for more content like this. I'm J-Jack, and let's go. The first statistical secret is night race. The circuit at Jeddah is the fastest street circuit on the calendar and was designed last year with barriers that would make racing on the edge. That resulted in 2 red flags coming out during the race. Multiple cars crashing out and DNFing. Chaos ensued. While there are track improvements, cars with the new regulations being able to be close and fight each other wheel to wheel, we might get a repeat of those sort of red flags. So you need to be careful with the drivers that you have. If they are not able to get in the clean air, they could be out early from the race. Also, because this is a night race, we once again get FP2 times, the closest we're going to get to quali and race conditions. So let's kick it over to the spreadsheet to do our comparative analysis. Link will be in the description below. Looking at the tab 21 verse 22, I've hidden all previous cells. We're just looking at what happened a week ago and trying to see what we can gather for this week. Very little time for the teams to make major changes. First off, Verstappen, who was fastest in FP2, ended up being beaten by Leclerc during Bahrain qualifying. Here, the roles seem to be reversed. Leclerc is fastest, but Verstappen, Sainz, and Perez all set their times on mediums, while Leclerc was on softs. That means that there's great potential for these 3 drivers to not only keep up with Leclerc, but even be able to out-qualify him, unless Leclerc is able to pull something extra during qualifying. The Mercedes also seemed to be able to improve. Russell, who was 4th during FP2, ended up qualifying 9th during the race, but he's now up to 6th now. Hamilton, who was 9th, jumped up to 5th during qualifying, and he's now at 5th now. So depending on how the Mercedes are looking, they might be able to improve, but they still seem to be slower than the cars ahead. Let's circle back to Sainz. During FP2 in Bahrain, he was 5/10 slower than his teammate, but he was able to get it down to 1/10 slower during qualifying. Right now, he's sitting 2/10 slower than his teammate on a harder compound. So if you're having to make a decision on who to turbo between the 2 Ferraris, you gotta pay attention to FP3. Look to see who seems to be getting the better grip on the track, especially when Sainz kicks it over to softs. Last thing to note is Magnussen. You can see that because of reliability issues, he set a really bad time. It was on mediums, so there is potential to still get out there on softs. The top pick for constructor is still Ferrari with the average position of 2, and Red Bull has 3, but they're more expensive. Same thing with Mercedes. If the Red Bulls, once they get on softs, are going to be considerably faster than the Ferraris, then that could change. And so leaving a little bit of sub room could help you out in having the strong pick. The second statistical secret is car reliability. As you probably saw on the spreadsheet, Norris has improved. But because of his cost being so much higher than the alternative options of Ocon or Bottas or even Gasly, it does not seem like he is worth to pick up. Tsunoda and Magnussen, they are seeming to have reliability issues. Gasly last race DNF'd because of electrical issues. Tsunoda seems to be having the same. Magnussen had hydraulic issues in FP1, wasn't able to get much running. FP2, there's a sensitive underfloor, and when he went over a curb, it conked out the car. Remember this, you need to make sure to pick a driver that both has a reliable car and a safe driving style. Someone like Alonso and Sainz are usually really safe during the race. Mercedes, while they may seem to be gaining some speed, it was shown through a report for last race that they were losing most of their time in the high-speed corners because they have to have a higher floor to avoid the porpoising effect, which means that they don't get as much cornering with that downforce. On this track, both Mercedes were showing signs of porpoising, which means that they are going to continue to struggle keeping up with the Red Bulls and Ferraris. The last thing about the AlphaTauris and the Haas's, you need to watch them during FP3. Make sure that they're having good reliability. The problem about Magnussen is he's the cheapest driver of all, which means that if you sub him out, you have to have the cap space to be able to have someone higher. So that might make it difficult. But if they're able to keep him safe in a reliable car, Magnussen should still be able to get more points than those that are more expensive than him on the midfield. This now comes to our value pick, Bottas and Ocon. Now Ocon was a little faster than Bottas during FP2, but Bottas is 9.4 million. Ocon is 12.2, nearly $3 million difference. That is the issue. If Bottas and Ocon are side by side for the race, and one guy is $3 million cheaper, then you might as well pick him up so that you could have another more expensive driver. Here's another way to look at it. Bottas with an average of 2.4 points per million versus Ocon with a 1.6. So Bottas is cheaper and can give more return. Now here's the thing. At the end of the day, Bottas had a really good race. Ocon had a really good race. If either of them seem to have reliability issues or one of them gets in a wreck, that is all going to be thrown out the window. So pay attention to those two drivers if you're trying to decide on who's going to be your fifth slot. The third statistical secret is price adjustments. Anybody who had the meta lineup from last week was able to get above 102 million. With a little bit of day trading, you could even get as high as 102.5 million. But let's look now at the spreadsheet to see, just because a driver went up in price, are they still a good pick to have on your team? Under the rank tab of the spreadsheet, you can see the ranking of price change column. Leclerc with the most of 0.5 million, followed by Magnussen and Bottas, Sainz, Ocon, Perez, and Zhou. Now, if we compare the price changes to the new prices on the left, anybody who shows up on yellow means that they're within 0.3 million of each other. So Alonso and Ocon are really close in price, which means that choosing between either of those drivers is good. Bottas, a little bit more expensive than Stroll, but clearly is getting more points. Tsunoda, a little bit more expensive than Zhou, but because of the power of the Alfa Romeo, you might have to make a decision between those two. But here is the thing. We want to look at the value column. Magnussen sits at a 4.6 points per million, a value of 6.3%. That means he should cost 6.3% more than he does now to get him back to a 1 point per million. Leclerc, 8.6%. Bottas, 3.5. Tsunoda, 2.9. Sainz, 3.8. These are drivers that you can consider on your team. Magnussen, of course, if he's going to get higher than his 5.9 PPR, must have. Leclerc, especially because you can turbo him, can get above 18.4 PPR or points per race, must have. Bottas, if he's able to score more than 9.3 points per race, then boom, you want to have him on your team. Tsunoda was able to get points because his teammate DNF'd, and so he did have a faster time during FP2, so you might want to look out for Tsunoda, especially because he's cheaper than someone like Bottas. So if you wanted to do some trading out, you could make that work. Sainz, even though he's a teammate and may not get the bonus points, he is just finishing in the top 4 and pretty much a must-have on your team. That means that you have 3 or 4 drivers that are both a money pick because they're going up in value and a points pick. So you want to have those on your team. That means that your 5th driver can make or break your team in gaining more points than everyone else in your league. It's now league time. And speaking of leagues, I am so proud of all of you that joined our PITWALL Seasonal League. You can enter up to 3 teams there. We have 916 teams, so we're in the large league. And last race, we were 4th best average points. Our one race challenge, which is only single entry, that means 184 unique people joined our one race challenge and had 2nd highest average points. Congratulations, amazing work. So what about our one race challenge for Saudi Arabia? You can find the link in the description below. The code in the top right hand corner also will be on the screen. One team, one opportunity to prove your competitive nature against other people. And if you are able to be in the top 3 point scoring positions, you get placed on our one race challenge or our ORC leaderboard. It's now time for my picks. My 2 lineups currently are identical. Team 1 is my steady team. I try to make minimal substitutions. As you can see, I've used my 3 substitutions because I did not want to lose value when Russell was going down, so I subbed him out for Perez. And as you can see, my value is 102.2 million. For Team 2, where I did my day trading, I first had to do 4 substitutions just to get my team off of that horrendous Verstappen Red Bull DNF from last race. And so I then committed to the wild card. I was able to day trade and get 0.3 million more compared to my steady team, so I'm at a 102.5. So overall, you could say that the wild card was not the ideal because you want to use your wild card for money picks if you can get at least $500,000. But I'm probably not going to use the wild card on Team 1 next week because I would rather use my wild card for points picks. There might be in the future some what are called power streaks. When a driver is able to finish in the top 10 in both race and qualifying, they can get a total 15 bonus points that race. And I might want to be able to use my wild card to get all those people on my lineup. But right now, this seems to be the meta. Let's look at my Team 2 because I have 3 extra substitutions if there's any opportunity to improve on what I currently have. If Leclerc is going to be a number 1 or number 2 and you could turbo him, keep him. Sainz and Perez could be either 3rd or 4th place, keep them. Magnussen, as long as he doesn't have problems with his reliability, keep him. Ferrari is cheaper than Red Bull, and so right now I could keep them, but let's say I wanted to take out Ferrari and I wanted to put in Red Bull. Okay, I could do that with a 1.5 million left. Now here's the thing. You can see that Red Bull has a sentiment that is going down at negative 82%. So I'm not going to pick up Red Bull until after that goes down so that I can gain additional 0.1 value. I'm going to be able to buy Red Bull for cheaper. So I now, because of my day trading, have gotten a little leeway. Let's keep Red Bull back. Now let's say though that there's an $8 million difference and I decide to drop Perez. Can I pick up Verstappen? I cannot. See, this is the problem that we are running into. So it seems better if Verstappen seems like he's going to be winning the race that I keep Perez and I switch from Ferrari to Red Bull. But of course, I'm not going to make that substitution right now because in case I have to drop Magnussen, I might have to do some juggling. Put in the description below, what are your thoughts? How do you feel with your team lineup? And also, you can join our Discord community to be able to continue this discussion. Link in the description below. And there we have it, a deep dive and analysis as we prepare for the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. Don't forget, watch out for free practice session 3. Even though that the times in FP2 is going to be the closest we can get for quali, you want to make sure that the drivers are showing that they are driving safe and that they have reliable cars. All it takes is one major crash and that could ruin your entire race weekend's points haul. Also note that if there's a major crash in FP3, a team may not be able to repair the car in time for quali, which will also lose you points. So keep that in mind. If you have subs left over, hold on to them to make sure that the fastest street circuit on the calendar is going to be one that your drivers can survive. And until next time, I'll see you on the pit wall.